Today I want to talk to you about something foundational to every relationship: intimacy. Not just the kind the world talks about, but a depth of connection that goes beyond emotions, beyond circumstances, beyond the fleeting passions of the moment. You see, intimacy is not just about being physically close. It's about something far greater, a closeness that stands the test of time, the weight of trials, and the reality of life itself. And there's something remarkable about the wisdom of the ancients, particularly the Stoics, who understood the power of stability, strength, and discipline in relationships. So today, I want to share with you 5 secret Stoic positions, not physical postures, but positions of the heart, the mind, and the soul, that will transform the way you connect with those you love. 1. The position of presence. One of the greatest gifts you can give someone is your presence. The Stoics believed in living fully in the moment, not distracted, not consumed by what's next, but fully engaged in the now. Too often we let our minds wander to worries of tomorrow or regrets of yesterday, and we miss what's happening right in front of us. Real intimacy is when you look someone in the eyes and truly see them. It's when you listen, not to respond, but to understand. It's when your presence says, "I am here, I am with you, you matter." 2. The position of self. The Stoics were masters of self-control, and in relationships this is critical. You cannot allow emotions to dictate your actions. Love that is built on emotional highs and lows will crumble under pressure. True intimacy is found in consistency, in choosing to love even when you don't feel like it. Patience over impulse, gentleness over outbursts, steadiness over instability. Love is not a roller coaster of emotions. It is a steady, unwavering commitment. 3. The position of sacrifice. A relationship that thrives is a relationship where both partners understand sacrifice. The Stoics believed in putting aside selfish desires for the greater good, and intimacy works the same way. It's giving when you feel empty. It's serving when it's inconvenient. It's putting the needs of another before your own, not because you have to, but because love demands it. And let me tell you something. Selfishness is the enemy of intimacy. If you want a strong relationship, practice selflessness daily. 4. The position of resilience. The Stoics knew that suffering was inevitable, but they also knew that adversity could shape strength. In intimacy, you must be willing to endure hardship together. You don't walk away when things get tough. You don't abandon the ones you love in seasons of struggle. You stand firm, hand in hand, heart to heart, no matter what comes. Real intimacy isn't tested in moments of joy. It's tested in the storms. And when two people commit to weathering the storms together, that is where true connection is forged. 5. The position of gratitude. Finally, one of the most powerful positions you can take in any relationship is gratitude. The Stoics taught that contentment comes not from getting more, but from appreciating what you already have. Do you see the good in your spouse, your partner, your loved ones? Do you remind yourself daily of their worth, their value, their irreplaceable presence in your life? Do you wake up each day with a heart that says, "Thank you," instead of "What's missing"? Gratitude changes everything. It turns ordinary moments into miracles, and it deepens the bond between two souls. Final thoughts. Mastering intimacy is not about fleeting emotions or momentary passion. It's about cultivating a depth of connection that stands firm, loves deeply, and endures faithfully. So I ask you today, true intimacy is not simply about being physically close to someone, or sharing moments of happiness. It is a deep connection that goes beyond emotions, beyond fleeting passion, and beyond surface-level interactions. At its core, true intimacy requires presence and self-control. Without these two elements, relationships become shallow, driven by temporary feelings rather than a steadfast commitment to understanding, loving, and supporting one another through all seasons of life. Presence is more than just being physically near someone. It is about giving them your full attention, listening with intent, and making them feel seen, heard, and valued. Too often, people assume that being in the same room, sharing the same bed, or spending time together equates to intimacy. But the truth is, real intimacy is found in the depth of connection, not in proximity alone. One of the greatest challenges to presence in today's world is the overwhelming amount of distractions that pull people away from meaningful connections. Technology, responsibilities, stress, and the constant pressure to be productive can make it difficult to be truly present with those we love. A person may sit across from their spouse at dinner but be scrolling through their phone, nodding absent-mindedly as their partner speaks. A parent may be in the same room as their child but be preoccupied with work, missing out on the opportunity to engage and bond. These small moments of disconnection add up over time, creating distance in relationships where intimacy should be thriving. Presence requires an intentional decision to focus fully on the person before us, to remove distractions, and to give them the gift of undivided attention. It is in those moments of deep presence that bonds are strengthened, trust is built, and intimacy grows. But presence alone is not enough. True intimacy also demands self-control. Without self-control, relationships become unpredictable, unstable, and ultimately fragile. Self-control is the ability to manage emotions, impulses, and reactions in a way that fosters understanding and connection rather than division and conflict. It is choosing patience over frustration, gentleness over harshness, and consistency over emotional volatility. In any close relationship, there will be moments of disagreement, moments of hurt, and moments of frustration. What determines the strength of a relationship is not the absence of these moments, but the way they are handled. When self-control is lacking, emotions dictate actions, leading to words spoken in anger, decisions made in haste, and damage done to the very intimacy one seeks to cultivate. True intimacy requires the ability to pause, reflect, and respond with wisdom rather than react impulsively. Self-control in relationships is about mastering one's emotions rather than being mastered by them. It is about recognizing that love is not merely a feeling, but a choice that must be made daily, even when emotions are not aligned with that choice. There will be days when patience is tested, when a partner's words or actions stir frustration, when circumstances create stress. But in those moments, self-control is what allows love to remain steadfast. It prevents unnecessary arguments, diffuse tension, and creates an environment where intimacy can flourish rather than be destroyed by unchecked emotions. In the absence of self-control, small conflicts escalate into major issues, misunderstandings turn into resentment, and love begins to erode under the weight of impulsive reactions. One of the greatest demonstrations of self-control in intimacy is the ability to listen rather than react defensively. When a loved one expresses a concern, a frustration, or even a hurt, the immediate impulse may be to defend oneself, to justify actions, or to counter with one's own grievances. But self-control allows a person to resist that impulse and instead truly hear what is being said. It creates the space for understanding, for empathy, and for resolution. It is in these moments that trust is deepened, because when a person feels heard and understood, they feel valued. They feel safe to share more of themselves, which in turn strengthens the intimacy of the relationship. Another aspect of self-control in intimacy is the ability to choose words wisely. Words have the power to build up or tear down, to heal or to wound, to bring people closer or to drive them apart. In moments of frustration, it can be tempting to say things out of anger or hurt, but true intimacy requires the discipline to choose words that foster connection rather than division. A harsh word spoken in the heat of the moment can linger long after the emotion has passed, creating wounds that take time to heal. On the other hand, a word spoken with kindness, even in moments of difficulty, can diffuse tension and reinforce the commitment to love and understanding. Self-control allows a person to be intentional with their words, ensuring that what is spoken aligns with the goal of deepening intimacy rather than damaging it. Presence and self-control also work together in the way physical affection is expressed in relationships. True intimacy is not merely about physical closeness, but about the intentional and meaningful expression of love through touch, holding a hand, a gentle embrace, a reassuring touch on the shoulder. These small gestures communicate love, security, and connection. But even in physical intimacy, self-control plays a crucial role. It ensures that affection is given with sincerity rather than obligation, that physical closeness is an extension of emotional closeness rather than a substitute for it. In relationships, there can be moments when one partner desires affection while the other is preoccupied, stressed, or simply not in the same emotional space. Self-control allows a person to be sensitive to the needs of their partner, to give affection with understanding, and to prioritize emotional connection over mere physical expression. Another way self-control strengthens intimacy is through the discipline of prioritization. In a world that constantly demands attention in multiple directions, it takes self-control to prioritize relationships over distractions. Work, personal goals, social obligations, and endless to-do lists can make it easy to neglect intimacy, to assume that relationships will maintain themselves without intentional effort. But self-control ensures that time is set aside, that moments of connection are protected, and that the people who matter most are not treated as secondary to life's other demands. It is easy to fall into the trap of thinking that intimacy will naturally sustain itself, but without the self-control to nurture it consistently, even the strongest relationships can begin to weaken. Self-control is also critical in handling personal struggles within relationships. Every individual carries their own burdens, insecurities, and past experiences that shape how they interact with others. It takes self-control to recognize when one's own internal struggles are affecting a relationship, and to take responsibility for managing those struggles, rather than projecting them onto a partner. This means acknowledging personal stress, fears, or past wounds, and choosing to process them in a way that does not place undue strain on the relationship. True intimacy is not about expecting another person to fix one's struggles, but about having the self-control to work through them in a way that fosters mutual support rather than dependence. When presence and self-control are cultivated together, they create a relationship that is stable, deep, and fulfilling. Presence ensures that each person feels valued, heard, and understood. It eliminates distractions and allows for genuine connection. Self-control ensures that emotions, words, and actions align with the goal of building intimacy rather than undermining it. The combination of these two elements creates a relationship where love is not dictated by circumstances or fleeting emotions, but is rooted in a steadfast commitment to understanding and growing together. Intimacy is not something that happens passively. It requires active engagement, discipline, and the willingness to prioritize connection over convenience. It is a daily choice to be present, to exercise self-control, and to build a relationship that stands the test of time. Presence makes intimacy possible, and self-control makes it sustainable. Together, they form the foundation for a love that is not only deep, but enduring.